Hi, I'm Kristi Simpson with KristiSimpson.net, and in this crochet video tutorial I will be teaching you how to crochet this very unique angel ornament. We will start with the head and work our way down to the very end, add the hair and the wings. So grab your Premier Deborah Norville Everyday Collection yarn, your 3.75 hook, and let's get started. For this angel ornament, you will need polyfill, just enough to stuff the head and the body, a stitch marker, a yarn needle, a 3.75mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and the yarn that I used is a yarn that has a rounded edge. It's not as fuzzy, and it is the Premier Deborah Norville Everyday Collection. I used cappuccino, cream, and chocolate. This is the cappuccino, which is the tan, cream, and chocolate. Let's move all this out of the way, and we will talk about how the ornament is made first. Now you can't see the top, but up here I started in the round, and we will work down to about the 5th or 6th round here, and then we will add the hair. I have cut strips of maybe 8 to 10 inches, about 30 of them, just to prepare for it, and we can get there and do that together. And then we will assemble the hair. We will then decrease to the neck and stuff the head. Then we will take the cream and increase and make the body. We will then make the wings and sew them on. We will stuff the body and then decrease, sew the bottom, and then we will add the final loop. And that's all there is to this sweet little angel ornament. So let's get started, and I already have my slip knot ready to go, and we will chain 2. 1, 2. In that first chain, we will put 5 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take and tighten up that first chain, and it will close the top. So then we will get ready to start on the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is your first stitch, and we will mark the first stitch of each round with a stitch marker. Okay, so we have 1 stitch in there so far, and we want 2 stitches per stitch for this round. So that's 1 and 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1 and 2. For the next round, we will do single crochet for the first stitch, so let's do that and mark our stitch. And then 2 in the next one. So 1, 2. 1 in the next, and then 2 in the very next one. 1, and then 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. One more time. 1 and 1, 2. Now for the next 3 rounds, we will single crochet in each stitch. So go ahead and complete that, and then join me back here, and we will add the hair together. I have finished my 3rd round of single crochet, and then for this part, I'm going to take my stitch marker out and place it in the yarn stitch right here so that it will not come out. And so that it is not in the way, my yarn does not get in the way of adding the hair, I'm actually going to cut it. You do not have to do this section or do that part, but when I'm adding the hair, it just gets in the way for me. So before we go any further, I want to make sure that this inside, the first chain where the tail is, I want to make sure that it's secure, because once the hair is added on, you will not be able to really see it. So I'm going to trim it just a little bit, not all the way, because it's going to be hidden anyway. But let's start with the hair. And since this is the last stitch of the round, I want to start back here. Now this is not difficult. I've already threaded the brown. Okay, so take 3 or 4 strips of the cut yarn, which I have in about 6 to 8 inches. You can cut it longer because you will trim it whenever you get to the end where it's finished. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your threaded yarn needle and come up the stitch and pull it through. And then take your cut ends and put it in front, and then you're going to take and just come back through the stitch around it and pull it tight. For the next one, come up the next stitch. So you still have that part right there, and then you have where you joined in your first pieces of hair or yarn, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it hair. Okay, take 3 or 4 strips and lay it in front of where you came through. Do you see how I did that? I've already came through here, and I'm going to lay it across there. Just make sure that all the hair is pretty even, and then take your yarn needle and go in the stitch where the previous stitch came up. So then it will be a clean looking seam. See that? And it's okay if there's little spaces here, because in the end you're going to pull it all back and you're not going to be able to see it anyway. Okay? So let's do that again. Come up through the next stitch and pull it all the way through. Try to keep all this hair as even as possible. Take 2 or 3 strands and lay it in front of where you just came through, and then go back in at the stitch seam here. And just repeat that again. Okay, I'm going to take 4 this time. Just put it back in at the seam. See how that's coming along neatly? Okay. Come all the way through. Take the next 3. And then come back through the seam. Now we're at the top. Go back through the seam. Work to the next stitch. Like I said, this takes a little bit of time, and you really don't have to add the hair if you don't want to. It's really fine without it, but it's really cute with it as well. Go into the next stitch here, a little too far. Gotta have that on that side so I can lay this in front of it here. Go back in at the seam. Now we're going to take a second and look at where we're at. Okay, see how whenever you pull it down and it looks like that. I think we're going to add one more so that the part comes down a little bit more towards the front of the head instead of being towards the back. So let's do this one more time. This yarn can get kind of messy and tangled, but just take your time. It will be neat and worth it in the end. Okay. Okay, now if we look at it and we pull it back, it will be more towards the front of the head. And so when we pull it back, it will look like a part, and it looks like it comes down. If you come down any farther, you can try it, and then you can always take it out, but it kind of would be too far. Alright, so let's continue. Let's go and take this out of the yarn needle and flip this inside out. And see, that's where I had pinned my yarn here. I'm going to take and weave this all the way back to the other end. And then I'm going to trim it just a little and then knot it together. This will not come undone, so I'm not worried about that. It's going to be on the inside, nobody's going to mess with it. Okay, trim it a little more. Okay, so that part is finished. So we've done the top and we've done the seam. So let's turn it right side out. Now we're not going to make it perfect, but we are going to take and just tie this together because we don't want to fix it until the very end when we can see the whole head and the whole body together. And I'm going to do just a little loose knot here. Okay, so that's not the way we want to finish it. We will finish that later. So now let's take and finish this round. We've got this last stitch here, but what we want to do is to pull that last pull through out, and we're left with two loops, the one and the two here. Let's take our cappuccino and tie it in really close to the back of that work. Okay, just really tight, and I'm going to do it again. And you can weave in your ends or just leave these on the inside. Okay, now yarn over and pull through, and now your yarn is joined in the back. And now we will decrease. So what we will do is, this is the first stitch because this was the last stitch that we just finished. So this is the first one. So what we're going to do is single crochet decrease and single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3. Single crochet decrease again, and then single crochet 3 to complete this round. And then join me back here and we will finish the next one and together. Now that we have joined our yarn, it is time to start the decrease. This is the last stitch of the round, and this is the first one. So I'm going to do a single crochet decrease and mark that first stitch, and then I will single crochet. Single crochet decrease, and then single crochet. And we will repeat that for this round. Single crochet decrease, single crochet. Single crochet decrease, single. One more time. And and for the last stitch is a single. Now what we're going to do before we single crochet decrease or single crochet two together, that's actually the same things, just worded a little bit different, is we're going to take the polyfill or fiber fill, whatever you have on hand, and stuff the head, not so tightly that, you know, it bulges the stitches, but you want it to be firm so that it holds the structure. Okay, I think that's good. And now to complete the head, what we will do is remove the stitch marker, and we will single crochet decrease this round every time. So single crochet decrease and pull it kind of tight and mark your first stitch. Just so you know where you're at. Single crochet decrease, single crochet decrease, single decrease, and then we will do it one more time to complete this round. To finish, what we will do is slip stitch to the first stitch, cut your yarn, and pull it all the way through, and then we will be ready to start on the body. Before we move on with the body, we are going to create the wings so that whenever we get to the point where we're ready to add them on before we sew the bottom, we don't have to cut our yarn again and then make them and then add them. So let's do that before we go any further. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm using the cream now instead of the cappuccino. And in this first chain, we will do 8 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, just continue working in that same first chain, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now to move on to the next row, what we will do is chain 3 and turn, double crochet in the same stitch. So now you have 2, because that chain 3 will count as your first double crochet, and this one is your second. And now put 2 in each stitch around. One, 2, just 2 in each. And we have just a few more. One and 2, 1, 2, and then this stitch here, and in the first chain 3 that we did, that will count as a double crochet also. So you will put 2 double crochet in this chain end here. 1 and 2. So far we have 2 rows and we have 1 more to do. So chain 3, which will count as your first double crochet, and turn, double crochet in the same stitch. So now you have 2. Now double crochet 1 time in each stitch until you get to the last stitch. In the last stitch you will have 2, but the first and the last are the only ones that will have 2. And this wing set or piece is only consisting of 3 rows, so we are almost finished. Just a few more stitches until we get to the end of this row. Okay, one more here. And in this last one, remember in the first one and in the last one, you will place 2 double crochet to finish. Now that we have completed the wings, cut your yarn, pull it through your loop and tighten. This will be the front and this will be the back. The front will have the front of round 1 and round 3. Weave in your ends and then join me back here and we will continue with the body of the angel. Now that we have finished the wings, we are ready to start on the body. Where we finished with the head is we had slip stitched to the first stitch here. So let's take out our stitch marker and take your cream and pull it through. And I already have a slip knot, so just pull your slip knot through. And what I do is I just take the ends and I stuff them inside the head as well so that they're out of the way and taken care of. Okay, so chain 1 and 2 single crochet in each stitch around. One more stitch, 1 and 2, and then slip stitch to the first stitch to join that round. Now chain 1, and that's the only time we will slip stitch here. So chain 1 and then single crochet and 2 in the next. And I will go ahead and mark that first stitch, so it's 1, 2, 3 back, just so we know where we are, even though it's raised up a little bit from the chain 1 and starting a new round. But that's okay. It's just a good visual marker if nothing else. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, and I can get to go. 1, 2. Now this slip stitch does not count as a stitch here, so do not work on it, but we will continue working in the round for the next round. Okay, so single crochet in the first stitch here and mark it. And we will do single crochet 1, 2, and then 2 in the next. So that's 1 we've already completed, 2, and then 2 in the next. 1, 2, and 2 in the next. Repeat that sequence to the end and then join me back here to complete the next round. For the next round, we will take out the stitch marker, single crochet the first one and mark it. And this round will be single crochet 3, 2 single crochet. So this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I will show you one more time and then you can complete this round and the next 5 rounds. But let's finish this one first. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 in the next one. So complete this round of single crochet 3 and 2 single crochet, and then single crochet in each stitch for the next 5 rounds. Join me back here and we will continue. Okay, I have worked ahead, and as you can see, this one does not have hair, but that's okay. You can make some with and without, but I have attached the angel wings onto the back. And make sure that your first and last row are facing outward, or it really doesn't matter. It just depends on your preference, because they will mainly be seeing the front. Okay, to sew them on, after you have finished your 5 single crochet rounds, take your yarn needle and sew around the edges. Do not sew down the wing tips, just sew around the body. So just take your yarn needle and go in and out. See, I'm just starting here on the side so that the wing tips will stay free. And then I will go up into the wing. And I want to make sure that around the neck is secure so that it doesn't come loose. So we'll make sure we get a few stitches around that. And then just come back down. All you're really doing is just tacking this to the back and making sure the ends stay free and that it's secured. So finish sewing on the wing and then join me back here and we will close up the bottom section. Now that we have the wing sewn on and we are at the end of the last single crochet round, we are going to single crochet decrease and then single crochet 3 times. So let's do this decrease and mark that first stitch. Now single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3. And that will be the repeat for this round, is single crochet 2 together or decrease and single crochet 3. Decrease and then 3. 1, 2, 3, decrease and 3. 1, 2, 3, decrease and 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time and decrease and 1, 2, 3. For the next round, you will single crochet decrease let's mark that stitch and then single crochet 2. 1, 2. And that will be our sequence for this round. Decrease and then do 2 single crochets. Decrease and then 2. 1 and 2. Decrease and then 2. 1, 2, and let's see, decrease and then 2. 1, 2. One more time, decrease and then single crochet 2. For the last round, it is just decrease and then single crochet 1. Decrease, mark your stitch, single crochet, decrease, single crochet. Let's repeat that for this round, and then we will stuff the body of the ornament. And single, decrease, single, decrease, and single. Slip stitch to the first stitch to join, and then pull all the way through. And I had already cut mine as I was preparing, and that's okay. You can either leave a long tail or cut and weave in your ends, or leave a long one there and just use the yarn needle. Okay, so let's get this part. Take your fiber fill and let's stuff this part pretty good. Okay, and make sure it's pretty firm, but you don't want it to where it's bulging out the end here, because we're going to sew it flat so that it just has a little bit of a shape there. So take your yarn needle, and whether it's the long tail at the end or fresh yarn here, and let's fold this in half. And see, this will not be the edge, so let's take it off, and that does not matter, but make sure you fold it flat with the front, because if you fold it sideways, obviously that's going to look a little funny. So take and start on the inside and pull through here, and then just kind of leave that out for now. And I like to go through this part twice. You could also double your yarn on your yarn needle. That would be easy. An easier way to do it twice. That way it just stays closed even better. And this is the last one here on the end. And what you're going to do is cut your yarn, and then I take and just put a little slip knot in a few places, and then after you do that, just take your yarn, take your needle and go under the seam, and then pull your yarn into the body, and then it's hidden. And then do the same thing with the first stitch that you had here, that you started on the inside. Go ahead and knot it a couple times on a few stitches, or even the seam. Then take your yarn needle in through the stitches. See how I have that? And then just pull in the yarn end, and then it's hidden. And you have a nice seam. So here you have the head, the wings, and the body. And then to finish, you're going to just take the hair and pull it to the back, wrap yarn around it there, and trim. To do the top loop, I'll show you on this one so you'll kind of have an idea, but you'll be working in the center of the hair here. You'll just reach back and find the brown, but it's easier if I just show you without the hair, so you can kind of have an idea of what I'm actually doing. So once it's all finished, you have the hair fixed and trimmed, take the chocolate, the same color as the hair, or you can use fishing line, it does not matter, just make you a loop. And go, you don't want to go down too far down the back of the head, or else it'll hang funny. So get more towards, here's the top, get more towards the back of the head here. Insert your hook, and this will be through the hair, and then pull through your slip knot and chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you can kind of test it and see, well, will that go over a tree limb? No, or a branch. So 13, 14, 15, 16, I think that's better. And then you just slip stitch in the same stitch that you started with. Cut your yarn, pull it all the way through, and knot it together. And you can do one of two things here. You can keep these ends really long and then pull it down into the hair and down through there and trim it, and then you will not have any ends. Or you can come up through here and do the same thing, grab the ends and pull it into the body like we did with the seam. When you're finished with the top loop, fix the hair, and then you will be ready to hang your ornament on your tree.